things. Oh, crikey, everybody's here. Whoops. Sorry, everyone. Half asleep. Hey, ITC, Peter, Jalosi, Joshua. Yeah, sorry, Peter. Yeah, I can come back later, maybe, and you can catch up then. I'm out of containers again. I don't know what I'm doing with my containers. It's probably an indication of the fact that I've got too many unfinished projects floating around. Let's see, what can we do with these? So many random boxes. We'll use this one. Consolidate a couple of things here. Hey, Greg. Yeah, the Valley test did a strange thing last night. It just dropped out halfway, and I'm not sure, maybe the MagSafe wasn't connected up properly, because I did kind of damage it the day before. So I may have to spend some money and buy yet another genuine Apple one, which is going to suck a bit, but yeah, it's the price you pay for doing dumb things. Do stupid things, win stupid prizes. That's pretty much the motto. Okay. Yeah, 3:16 a.m. Yeah, definitely good night for you. Ah, some light. I was wondering why I couldn't see. Alright, this is A1278. It's got the issue with the headphone jack, where there's no audio coming out of it because it's stuck on optical output mode. So hopefully we can fix that up. Man, I don't even have any magnets. Come on, I've got 1 billion magnets in this place. Let's see. Nope. Big fat hard drive magnet. Nope. Hey, James. Let's see. Travis Stanford. I had my roughly 8 hours sleep. No, it was a bit rough. I was probably up to about 2:30, just keeping an eye on micro, and then I passed out. Looks like it's still early-ish in the United States. IB1 Ich wir nie. Brandon Smith. Okay, I think that's all the screws. Alright, woo, fancy Samsung drive. That's good. Okay, so we've got a bit of dust ingestion, so this thing could do with a bit of TLC. Smells vanilla. Maybe someone bakes or something. Certainly vastly nicer than a lot of the smells I have to deal with coming out of these computers. Okay, see, that's a genuine battery. That weighs the 360 grams or whatever. No questions about that one. There's Sean Leon, D Seattle. Okay, Joshua, well, thanks for popping in anyway and saying hello. What am I doing? I wonder if I can get away with this. I always forget which side this chip. So I'm just going to get some dust out. Dun, dun, dun. I think I should just pull it out and give it a complete check over, as well as do the fix. Because you never know what else you're going to find. Let's see, T8, no, we want T6 for all these. Now, I've got a bunch of computers coming in today, but they're all just normal PC towers, that hard drive failures, things like that. So, and as much as hard drive failures are in themselves perfectly interesting to deal with, the extremely long processing time tends to not make them very good for streaming, because most of it's just sitting there watching DD Rescue do whatever it's trying to do. Yeah, there we go, a bit of dust bunnies. They would have made the thing run a bit hot. Okay, camera out. A1398, ran A1465 to clean the fans, need to do thermal paste, clean up junk. Oh yeah, that's good when it's just dirt. Yeah, just normal stuff that you find accumulating. I gotta say, it's fairly irritating with the big iMacs. Like, I've got a 27-inch one here, and it's got a hard drive failure is my guess anyway, or a sensor failure, probably a hard drive failure. But yeah, just the inability to be able to open them up and clean them up. You know, for something as simple as dust ingress, and you can't even do that. It's a little bit annoying. I mean, I know you can pizza cutter them open, and I'm gonna have to do that. But that's a pretty drastic sort of process to do. I always forget this. It's like a blind spot in my brain, forgetting to take this section off. And then of course there's the microphone, which you have to remove in the most unglamorous way. Okay. Hey, dang train. Well, let's say we just give this a brush down. Get the speaker out. I haven't even checked what model this is. I'm pretty sure it's a 3115. Okay, that looks cleaner. The name's Paul, not Daniel. Daniels is my last name. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Let's see if we've got anything. Someone owns a cat. Lots of people do. But yes, this dust is just like household dust, carpet, dust, anything that's just floating around in the air. I'm not actually expecting any issues, so that cap is one of the common ones that always seems to get very upset for some reason. What is this? 315? Yep, 3115. We do actually have a fair bit of corrosion down here. Now, it may not yet be causing grief, but it certainly can't be far off. That clock chip is looking really, a bit of junk there. So I would put this through the ultrasonic cleaner and yeah, just give it another lease of life, because in a few months this stuff, when we get the wet season, oh wait, no, that's definitely going to need replacing there. That's some real trouble there. Yeah, in a few months it will start misbehaving quite dramatically. 3v42 area looks okay. So better that I clean it up now before it's too late. Hey, Lee Coleman. Let's have a look on the side. It's just with these machines, with their age, you pretty much can expect that there's going to be something that needs a little bit of TLC. Yeah, like that there. That needs cleaning up. And particularly the locality of where this machine lives, which is in Townsville. It's a coastal town, so you got a lot of salty moisture in the air, and just over time it does tend to accumulate. So we'll give this a refurb, and it can go out and spend another 5 years of life quite happily. You see the corrosion starting to eat through on that veer. But the primary thing that we're here for is to actually fix up the headphone socket issue, which is up here. One of these resistors I've got to knock off. What essentially happens is the contacts inside they end up, looks like there's corrosion in there actually, they end up misbehaving, and the system reverts over to the optical output, which of course renders the headphones useless. So now I've got to find out which resistor is I need to knock off. Just got to load up the right board view. 3115. Okay, all in. And it's pretty sure it's this tip detect. It wasn't that one, but it's in the right area. But this is the one we need to drop off. The schematic is drawn slightly backwards in this case because we have the output going off to the left, whereas inherently you sort of expect it to go to the right, just as a bit of a convention. But what happens is there are these two MOSFETs, depending on which option is selected, they'll pull down a different resistor value to ground, so you have 20k versus 39.2, and that will produce a different voltage on this Audio Sense A output here. And let's see, which goes off to the audio chip. Let's see, so we go. Did I just? So you can see this goes into the audio codec, and see here we've got a R6210, which is a pulling up basically to a 4.5 volt line. So you got a 2.67k resistor, and then you're going to apply it to either a 20k or a 39k, and depending on which one gets pulled down to ground depends on what the voltage is going to be on this Audio Sense line. So we kind of cheat by never giving it the option to detect this properly, so we just remove 6805, and whoops, that's right by this connector on the other side, so yes, we did actually have to remove this, and it's in a tight spot, so we'll definitely not be hot airing that out. And it's this one here, so we'll use a solder blob method to get that out. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate the forcing of people. I've noticed that I must have upset some people because lately, last couple of days, there's been a considerable jump in dislikes on my videos, both current and old. So I think there's been a bit of a backlash for something that I've done. Not that it truly actually bothers me, it's more just one of those amusing things, I guess. You sort of wonder to yourself, that's interesting that you have to do that. Okay, so that resistor's gone. And that solves our, well, usually solves our optical output problem. But now we've got bigger issues to fight with, which is this sort of genuinely problematic corrosion. So we'll start out by doing a flux and boil on that. There is a slight separation between my eyeballs and the camera at the moment. That veer is a bit of a problem. This one here, see how that's corroded? Some of these might have to have wires pushed through them. I'm not too overly concerned about the thumbs downs. Like I said, it's more of a casual observation. Well, not casual, but an observation of how you can go from a certain trend where you'd expect, and then lo and behold, you have this new and exciting trend. But if you're not ticking off people, then you're probably not doing something. That veer's definitely got to be cleared out. Not sure what that one's for. Let's have a look and find out. Yeah, I've seen that the YouTube, regardless of whether it's up or down, YouTube pretty much considers it as a positive thing. Let's see. My brain is... What? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong... There we go, that's what I wanted. The heatsink was distracting me. Alright, so it's this here, which... Ethernet, so that's probably why that didn't cause any trouble. Hello, Nicholas Hiley. Oh, you can't kind of saying things like that. I'll get into trouble. And that video there's gone. We'll fix it up anyway because it really does need to be done. The trouble is I've now probably botched up that veer. it could be a bit difficult trying to get through it. And I do not have a 0.2 mil hard wire or anything. Okay. 0.2 mil or 0.1 would be ideal for punching through things like this. It looks like we got through. Slow going, but it should get there. Should be able to see it from the other side by now. Assuming it hasn't. Let's see where that should come through. So that's the veer there, and so it should be coming up between the two inductors. Yeah, I think that's it there. In which case the wire hasn't quite come through. We just need to apply more force. Ah. I'm fairly sure that's the tip of it that I can see there. I just can't. Oh wait, yep. Just managed to grab it. That is so incredibly tricky to get a hold of there. Hey Q's, hey Rod K, I'm VDiv. I'm just gonna, I was about to say, I'm just gonna yank it back out. There we go. And then route it back through. Because I think that piece of wire was starting to suffer some slight fatigue issues. There's one seriously ugly board surface right now. Okay, I'm gonna need two. No. Whose idea was this? And it gets frustrating when you can't tell the difference between a hair and the wire. Okay, I think I need to just clean up everything here. Things like flux and corrosion are making it more difficult than it needs to be. I am keeping an eye on that piece of wire. Just turn off the hot air for the moment. You forget how loud that is after a while. It's kind of like when you're driving on the highway, and most roads with their gravel bases cause a lot of tire noise in the car, in the cabin, and then you hit a patch of the road where they have the smooth surface tar, and at that point you sort of go, wow, that really is loud. This doesn't work, I might have to call up the people who did Armageddon and get them to drill through. Okay, I think that should be good now. VDiv, there could well be intermediate layers, yes, you are correct. And if that is the case, well, there's not a lot you can do. But often what happens is, as long as you get the two sides connected, then there's often an alternate route that they'll go through. And it's not a problem with signal layers in most cases, but it can be a problem with power layers. Power blah 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 blah. I can't speak. Okay, so it goes on to the fire inductor end, so this one here. Yeah, because if it's a line that needs to carry power and you make it route through an alternate path and that path is not set up with the right thickness, then you can just basically end up burning out more traces. But it's a valid question you had, that was. And that goes on to the capacitor pad that's closest to the via. We should clear away. I might just remove that cap while I clear away everything else, just to clean it up. I'm just gonna put it over there. Because certainly you can't trust the via to do anything now. The via, for all intents and purposes, is useless. You think we should replace that cap? Yeah, let's replace that cap. This is a donor board. I think this is one of the fried out fried out SATA port. So all these chips actually would be fine. Just the circuit board's completely cooked. Terrible tweezers. You guys aren't much better. Too much flux on everything. Where do you get your books of SMD resistors? I just got them off eBay. That's all. It's been promoted to a cul-de-sac. Yep. No through road. Yeah, just pick them up off eBay. Just be aware they are going to be shonky quality, so don't expect miracles. But push come to shove, if you really need something, then they can be useful. Just be aware, don't trust the caps. Don't get ones that are ceramic caps because they don't give you voltage ratings on them, so therefore you don't know anything. It could be a 6 volt 3, could be a 50 volt cap, you just don't know, and that's an important parameter to know when it comes to putting caps on boards. Doing shoulder surgery. No thanks. It's funny, my wife really can't handle doctors or anything like that, surgery, anything like that. She's a bit like Louis in that respect. But, so if anything happens and I'm the one that has to be doctor on call, it's just kind of funny because I did originally want to be a doctor. And I've got a whole bunch of books and everything when I think I was about 10 or 11. Read up on a lot of things. And then I just sort of fell out of it. I found computers and electronics more interesting. I mean, in honesty though, the biology, in my opinion, is perhaps one of the more difficult sciences as such, because the rules are always so dynamic. If you have a look at a book of standard deviations of X-ray imagery, then this book is 3 inches thick, and it's just of all the variations you can get in X-rays for a particular body part or whatever that is still considered to be within the norm. Biology is the English of sciences. It's a complete hack job and very tricky to learn. So I have immense respect for people who engage with that sort of thing. I think it's a very difficult field. I'm just going to replace that resistor. Its end cap is a little bit too corroded in my opinion. Yeah, it's true. At least, losing a computer in surgery isn't quite so bad. I think the more critical thing is the data, of course, and there are times where people will pretty much consider it close to losing their lives if their data is lost. Okay, that resistor was definitely a no-go. We've got a little bit of a pad here. I'm not sure what that is. I guess back to the board view. So what was that? It's just up from that cap. So it's this here, R25. That's something to do with USB. I'm not exactly sure what. There it goes straight onto, straight onto the PCH. So hopefully there's not a veer under that one. Hey, Kopaz. Gave up on a bio major after being encountered with 90% of vocab that's always named after some Latin words. Well, that's science in general, isn't it? Everything's Latin. Alright, I can see that the trace runs from there to there. There's a bit of a copper trace there, so that's good. So we'll just run a little wire. We'll put the resistor back down here and run a short trace. I hate it when you knock other bits and pieces. Don't rub that pad off, Paul. I'd be in big trouble if I did that. Hey TCRS, good to see you. Ah, Greg, my god, you're showing your age there in all honesty. Telling people that you actually had Latin class. Oh, let's see. Grab that resistor off this board. Oof, I just lost my own personal space orientation. Okay, so we're just going to run a little jumper between those two. But I might do this via first, actually. So that via... Where do you go to? You also reappear down here. Alright, so this is a problem where putting a wire through the via won't help. Because what's happening is it goes into this via, but it's an internal layer that it's attaching to. And that's just to get it to route around all this until it finally emerges over here. So this is actually going to require a direct wire. So there's no point trying to... I mean, it'll come out on the other side, but there's nothing to attach to on the other side. It's just a dead-end via on the other side of the board. See, I've lost track of things. Hey Rob, good to see you, Rob Brown. Fancy seeing you here. What's your opinion about using JVC solder stations as a specialized tip? Is it worth the cost? If someone sends me one of those JVC units, like particularly the Nano one for the absolutely smallest work, then I'll use it for a while and keep it, and then I'll let you know. Unfortunately, I have not progressed beyond the Hacko stations. I haven't even got a set of Hacko tweezers. I've just got the standard FX951. And I really haven't changed much from the JSO2 tip on this either. I do have some other tips, but about the only other tip I'd probably consider using, which is naturally one I don't have, and that's the KU. I probably should get myself a micro handle, because I think that would definitely be useful in a lot of situations where things are a bit too tight. But other than that, nope. I don't know. Wish I could answer questions, but unfortunately that one I cannot. Hey Dice. Hey Rodrigo. Well, for this sort of work, hot tweezers doesn't really come into play much. But definitely on iPhones, I think they're massively useful, because you try to pull out a cap or a resistor resting up against the CPU area, they're an absolute godsend then. Particularly if it's like a 1005 part, and there's just no room to do anything else. But certainly on these larger laptop mainboards, hot tweezers are a little bit of an overkill. There are still a couple of situations where they could be useful, but as a general rule they're not profoundly required. Just give those caps a clean up. I am somewhat tempted to just attach it to the chip itself, but let's just try on the trace first. Yeah, the KN tips are very nice, I think, from what I've seen. And they're definitely my next item on the list, so to speak. Alright, so we're going to go from this here down to old 4700, which is somewhere down here. Where are you all? So whatever your name is. Okay, so it's got to come down to here. So the bottom one? Yeah. So this is where it emerges from the inside, and that's where it goes. So maybe we'll scratch off that, or no, we'll just connect it straight up to that filter. Welcome to Paul's live streams, where his uncertainty is a certain thing. Bit of lag there. Just prepping one end of this wire. It's one of those days. Oh, that's right, it's Monday. I should be out doing fencing, because goodness knows I need to get that fence done. But fencing's hard work. But my sanity compels me to get the fencing done. I need to push that a little forward along. Cues, no. This is a board I just opened up now. It's got the audio output issue on the jack. We fixed that part of it, but we've gone over the board and we've seen that there's corrosion that is on the verge of basically making the machine stop working properly. Hey, Dave Davidson, yes, bit of an unusual daylight stream for me. I'm just trying to think the cleanest way to route this. And there will be one most clean routing option, but we've got to be realistic. Okay, let's see if we get the biggest view we can. So I don't really like doing just a direct angle. Then you do want to avoid things like screw holes. That'll probably suffice for my sanity. Let's see. Come on, give me some zoom. And try not burn my fingertip. That's getting warm. This is a damned awkward angle. Try this. Come on, solder. Do your job. Super bodgy. That's obviously not done yet. I'm just still trying to break through that enamel. Oh, thank you, Jane Zimmy. Hey, Jane Zimmy. Been a while. So there's no real way to integrate a PDF file layer of the board. No, there's not. Because the PDF, the one you see in the PDF view document is just a bunch of lines. It's just vector art. There's no object information in it or anything. I mean, I can derive a good amount of stuff from a PDF, but by and large, you also have the man, come on. You also have the problem of you don't want to assume too much, because while you might get it to work on one particular board or even a series of boards, at some point, for every time you assume, there's going to be a situation where it actually misleads and ends up being quite wrong. So you try to keep your assumptions to the minimum. In many cases, it's best to not have any data than bad data. much the same as, I mean, when you think about it, when you're doing board design, electronics design, you have a separate schematic and a separate board program, specifically because the data they carry is quite different. Louis would probably have a fit if he saw this, but I really don't give two cruds. He'll probably make some hurtful remark, and then I would have to tell him to get stuffed. And then he'll threaten to no longer support FlexBoard View, and then I'll have to back down because he's got me. At least until the next version, and then the war cycle begins again. Alright, let's flush this. This is not pretty. I'm not happy with it being not pretty, but it is what it is. Definitely going to be some serious ultrasonicing going on here. Whoa, don't yank that wire. We're going to have to green goo that before we go putting into ultrasonic. Just to tack it down, make it behave. Why not append the PDF to the board view file and make a new format? Well, we can do that, but there's really not much point overall. I mean, you can just consolidate them either in a folder or a zip. We did have one format I was looking at doing, and that is just a zip file that contains the board view, the schematic, the various bits of metadata, maybe images of the board, all that sort of thing. So, I mean, it's certainly been thought about. It's just a case of prioritizing. And then there's the distribution issue, you see. So now if I create such packages, then as soon as I distribute that, I'm basically going to become Apple's little victim. I use the word victim when really I want to say something else, but yeah. In short, legal issues are the main problem. And you can't just say, oh, well, it wasn't actually meant for FlexBoard View and I didn't do it. Because if you package it for a specific program, then it's pretty damn clear that you have done it with the intent of using it with that software. And I do believe intent is often enough to get you in a fair bit of strife. I mean, it's fine if you're in a country that doesn't have Apple at an arm's reach, then go wild. But I've got to walk the fine line of legalities here, which is why FlexBoard View is a board view program with the PDF stuff, as opposed to board view plus boards and schematics. A little worried about this clock chip. A little worried about not having the fan on. No. I need to have a look at this pin that's under there. Any idea why a machine would pass ASD, MRI, but I actually don't know, to be sure. I have a machine doing that myself. I think mine was a... what was it? I can't remember, but I do remember having a machine and I was like, oh, that's weird, that works on EFI but not OS boot. Now, if Pernov was awake, he'd be able to tell you. But since apparently he needs sleep, that kind of leaves me in the... Oh, TCRS might know if he's here. I forgot that he's here. No, I didn't hear about that guy getting in jail. I know there's been plenty of threats in general, but I don't know of anyone who actually went to jail. And that's just it. You know, if you can end up in some serious trouble doing that sort of stuff. So it's fine if you're young and you're living in a country that doesn't have extradition laws or whatever to, yeah, stuff like that. But if you've got a family, a living, debts, all that sort of stuff, then you can't just go at this all bravado style. You've got to think about what you're doing. Like, I'm not sure I'd want to be the phone board guy. I mean, you know, he's doing good work and stuff like that, but he's got himself... he's in a bit of a legal bind if he's not careful. I suppose maybe he's lucky he lives in a country that Apple can't touch. Now, no, you could also say, well, you know, Paul, just do it. You know, what's the worst Apple's going to do? And so, well, they can do a heck of a lot to me. And I know that, say, people like Louis has called Apple out on the bluff and stuff like that, if it was, and they haven't ended up doing anything. But that's not... that was Lewis's choice, and it worked out for him. But I do have a family and all that sort of stuff, and I don't want to subject him to that risk. TCRS, we're just doing a general rework on this board. It's come in for optical issues, the audio output thing, but I'm also taking the time to give it a clean up. Hey, Dwayne Lawrence. Alright, I feel better about that one now. Oh yeah, MRI rooms are great if you've got metal on you. It's a superb way of getting yourself nearly killed, dismembered, whatever your preference is. It's such a hack job, that. It's so disgusting. Okay, what was on the other side? Does anyone remember if there was anything on this side that I had to deal with? Oh yeah, that. It's a little bit shonky, so I will take that one off. That's one wire circuit, as far as I remember. I think this is U6901 or 6900. Looks like that wasn't that bad, but we'll get rid of it anyway. Oh great, that one's also a bit dodgy. And that is a kookaburra laughing. Crazy kookaburras. Oops. Kinda helps if I prepare the pads first. It's funny when the soldering iron beeps to say it's ready after you've just put it back to say I'm done. What is that? A random goop. No, I think we can test this now. Where did I put that chassis? Brush this out. Probably helps if I put the speaker thingy in. That's the wrong one. Brush the stones and random things that get stuck in the speakers. Weird how that happens. Okay, I shouldn't say weird. It's just, it happens. Come on. Yeah, the SSD probably is. It's a pretty good one. It certainly was at the time. I think it's like only a dual level cell one or a single level SLC one. Where's the fun bit with these? Collecting all the cables. Did we get them all? I think we did. We'll leave the... no, it's okay. Still, there's no denying these are popular machines, as well as the A1398s. T6. Okay. Don't know why I bother connecting this. I guess I'm just pedantic. Okay. So we've got MagSafe 1, and naturally we have MagSafe 2 plugged in. Well, we've got a fan spinning the MagSafe. Alright, so we didn't kill it, so that's good. Still boots. Can you change the file path to be relative to the program rather than absolute? Which file paths are you talking about? Can you give me a specific one that's giving you grief? Yeah, we've got our mouse. Not sure what else it's doing right now. Well, there's no glowing coming out. Oh, right, okay, so we've got a full setup to go. Fun. Okay, Australia. Yeah. I wonder if we can just plug in Ethernet. Change my drive now, and your job links are broken. You see, the trouble there is that there'll be people who want them absolute, and there'll be people who want them relative, and so it's like, which one do you go with? I guess you put in an option. Now, the problem I've got here is this thing's booted up, but oh well, I can test Ethernet later. Fine. What happened there? Where'd my other networks go? Oh. That's what I wanted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, sorry Dave, no blue smoke. No purple flashes. Nothing. Very boring. Let's see if this even connects. As per usual with the Paul Daniels Magic Show, you won't like it a lot, but you'll like it. Come on, what are you doing? There we go. Data and privacy. Continue. Don't transfer any information. Set up later. Skip. It's like get lost, Apple. Yes, you know I don't agree, but I agree. Well, I'll just call this A. And we'll have no password. Seriously, I can't have an empty password? Fine. A. Continue. And again, it says I can have a blank. Fine. Be that way. I swear it told me I could have a blank password and then it says no, you can't. Is it possible for me to locate a job file, listen file, and just edit it? That would do. That's all kept in the SQLite file, the jobs database, so you can always go into that file and adjust it accordingly. Oh, this has actually got Mojave on it. CPU fixer, good luck with that. I was very, very fortunate last week, and I scored myself a A1398 3332 system. That was in very good condition, except for an intermittent motherboard. That was a significant win, in my opinion. Alright, so I want to test the headphone output. I'm just going to use Shonky Safari. It's interesting they don't list YouTube on here, but I suppose because it's... Okay, YouTube... Oh, that's brutal. The first Rossmann that comes up is actually with one N. That will make Louis rage. Now I've got headphones in here somewhere that I can use to test. Well, we know the speaker works.
Let's check it out. Go to Wix.com. There are hundreds of beautiful templates. Choose one that...
And it appears the headphones work. Let's get this volume up since I'm deaf. There we go. It works. Oh, Louis rages about the spelling of Rossmann all the time. You will get yourself a ban if you call him Rossmann with one N. Okay. Shut down. Alright, so we fixed it. The primary fix was that R6905 that had to just bleed up, knocked off. And then we spent a heck of a lot more time working on all the other issues that were lying around. Ethernet being... Well, I should probably put the battery in, test that Ethernet. Run ASD on this. Yeah, just all the good things that I should be doing as a proper technician. So battery is in, panel on. It's alive! Okay, let's plug Ethernet in. Unfortunately, you guys don't really get to see this. Ethernet connected. That's good. Okay, well, that's good. And we seems like everything's going. We will put this through ASD, and if it passes ASD, we will put it through the ultrasonic, then put it all back together. Let's see now. Alright, trick question. Well, it's not trick question. Question. Which ASD version do I use for this particular one? Anybody? Anybody? Okay, I just noticed the SMC... There's a weird screen behavior. Oh, what am I doing? I was supposed to hold down the option key. Chrissy Farrell, Fix Pro Tech, hello. Whereabouts are you from? Yeah, choices, people. Which ASD do I... stuff is... I'm going to have to just work it out myself. You can't rely on chat. 820 3115. I'm just gonna check Lewis's forum for it. Which naturally I don't get a direct answer on. Yeah, never ask on YouTube chat, that's pretty much it. Let's see, 2012, mid-2012, 150. Oh, you say 155, okay. It says 150, but okay, these are all too early anyway. I'll try the other drive. Where the heck's my other? Got the first. Oh, that's my second ASD one. Hilariously hidden by the keyboard. Okay, 55 OS loading up. You guys can have a look at this. Oh, okay. Alright. Now I understand. Thank you. Get better screen brightness here. Oh yeah, there we go. And change the focus. Which does absolutely nothing useful. Okay, we'll leave it at that. I guess we'll start testing. And wait. Def bombs, if you've got a spreadsheet that does that, I would really like it. Because most of the I usually find no matter what reference I find on the web, it's always the wrong direction for what I'm trying to do. Like I'm either, I think for me the best one would be like board number, ASD to use with it. Yeah, I don't think I'll be doing any RMRF. Anyway, as it is, you forgot the no hup. Why does the screen look so matte? It does. It's got some sort of protective film on it, probably to stop scratches or something. It's not too offensive directly on, but certainly once you get off angle, it's quite opaque. I don't think it's a privacy one either. It's just not very good for off angle. Thanks, Stefan. Appreciate it. Now you created trouble now, Defcon, for yourself. Well, I think this is gonna do fine. So I'll head off and got to do other jobs. It's already 12:30, so we'll have a few machines sitting in the admin room waiting for me to open up and get to work on. So we fixed it. Yeah, the audio fix itself was very simple. Just everything else that was a little more complicated. And I need to put my ultrasonic cleaner on because it's going to take 4 hours for that to heat up. So thank you everybody for jumping in. And why did that? Oh, it's going through the sleep test. That's something that caught me out a lot in the past. I would come in and think that my ASD testing had died, and so I would touch the keyboard and try and wake it up again, only to find that actually causes it to then fail the test. So if you have that happen to you and you think it's dead, just give it a few more minutes and it should come back up. It's just going through a sleep test. I wouldn't say it's an anti-glare screen, because if anything it's definitely not anti-glare. If it's trying to be, it's it sacrifices too much for that. So, alright. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch up with you next time. I don't think I've got anything else yet for a couple of days, but yeah, we had a bit of a run for now. So you all take care. I'll see you later.